Okay. This upcoming Saturday, March 15th, is going to be our next protest. 210 was epic. 315 is already looking like it's going to be even better. A lot of people assume, at least the ones that I've talked to, that this is just an anonymous movement, like it's just us. Even if you're not an Anon, come with, show up, protest. You have a vested interest in protesting. There are tons of reasons if you just look into it. Here are some that I kind of came up with on my own. If you subscribe to the right-wing philosophy, strong defense, strong national security, look up something called Operation Snow White. It was the largest infiltration of the U.S. government ever. It was a counterintelligence operation launched by Scientology in the 70s to figure out what the government had on them so they could get their tax exemption. If you're left-wing and you value free speech, well, Scientology's been an enemy of free speech for a number of decades now. If you look up something called Operation Freakout, a journalist called Paulette Cooper wrote a book about them. They tried to frame her for bomb threats. I mean, it almost ruined her life. And they sued Time Magazine for over $500 million, and they've just constantly suppressed any sort of dissent. So there's a reason for you. If you're pro-life, you should know that a lot of the women that are in the Sea Org, which is their elite, like, military-style branch, have been told that, it's either abortion or excommunication. They don't want kids to be, in the Sea Org, and they don't, want to deal with more responsibilities. If you're pro-choice, you should know that the church does donate money to campaigns that support pro-life, measures and stuff like limiting birth control and limiting access to abortion. If you're a particularly religious person, you should know that L. Ron Hubbard openly declared that there is no Christ. I mean, Christ, God, whatever you want to call the higher being, was just a false belief put there by the Thetans. It's like a blemish of the soul. If you're gay or you support gay rights, you should know that the church preaches that they are a subhuman abomination. They are just being gay means you are at the lowest point on the tone scale, If you have been helped out by psychology, psychiatry, or psychoactive medications, you need to know that the church has a stated goal openly. They even say on their website that they want the absolute destruction of the science. They say it's a Nazi pseudoscience, and if you've been helped out, millions of people have, you can't let them stop that. I mean, you just can't, really. So that's a reason for you to show up. If you're atheist, well, it's kind of an easy reason. They're another religion, and they seek to persecute the non-believers, whether they be Christian or atheist, for that matter. In fact, they often say that their goal is to clear the world at any cost, and that they are the ones to make up the rules. They are the ones to determine what's right. And this is a little bit more forward than any of the other religions. The most obvious angle I can see, though, is the most obvious: human rights. Scientology has violated human rights on numerous occasions. They have used child labor. They've put 14, 15-year-olds in management positions in some of the orgs. They practice illegal labor practices on their own people, have them work 60-hour weeks for like $1 an hour. Not to mention the most obvious, Lisa McPherson, forced detention of their own members. She ended up dying of it. Even last week, there was a woman they found, she was being held against her will for over 2 weeks in France by Scientologists. So, long story short, if you don't have a reason to show up Saturday, look. And if you can't find a reason and you're bored, show up anyways. Should be fun. Plus, they kind of got it coming.